रामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तमुनि की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवदीप धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। द्वारका धाम की जय। स्वामी तो भक्तबिंद की जय। ऑल ग्लोरी टू द Lord. All glory to the Lord. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can we start?
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, all glories to our revered speaker for today, His Grace, Srivas VANACARI, and all glories to assembled Vaishnava devotees. We thank you for being here. Today is the 4th day of August, 2025, and it's another beginning of a new week. Today is Monday, and it is a blessing that we have His grace beginning the week with us. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for being here and sharing your wisdom and love with us today. So we may put the verse on the screen and you take it over. I think we have, we have like four verses.
Yeah, 4 verses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
So which one do we put on the last one? Or
it depends on how you want us to go. I think we may go from 22 through 25.
Okay, 22, 23, 24, 25.
Yes.
Okay. I think 22 and 24 have some long purport. The others are just one line.
Yeah. So whichever way you want us to go, we will do that.
Okay, you start with 22.
Okay. All right. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Narayana namaskritya narachaiva narotamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat nashtapraya svabhadresu nityam bhagavatam sevaya bhagavati uttamas loke bhakti bhavati naisiki Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. So today we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 11, verses 22, 23, 24, and 25. So 22 is on the board. So we'll go through that, then we'll go through the other verses. Trilokya Yuga Sahasram Bhahi Abramano Dinam Tavati Eva Nisha Tata Yanni Malati Vishwasrik. Word for word translation. Trilokya of the 3 worlds, Yuga, the 4 yugas, Sahasram, 1,000, Bahir, outside of, Abrahmana, up to Brahmaloka, Dinam is a day, Tavati, a similar period, Eva, certainly, Nisha is the night, Tata, or dear one, Yat, because, Nimilati, goes to sleep, Vishwasrik, Brahma. Translation. Outside of the 3 planetary systems, Swarga, Marsha, and Patala, the 4 yugas multiplied by 1,000 comprise 1 day on the planet Brahma. A similar period comprises a night of Brahma, in which the creator of the universe goes to sleep. There is a purport. It says, when Brahma goes to sleep in his nighttime, the 3 planetary systems below Brahmaloka are all submerged in the water of devastation. In his sleeping condition, Brahma dreams about Garbhodakashayi Vishnu and takes instruction from the Lord for the rehabilitation of the devastated area of space. We go to text 23. "23 says, Nishavasana Arabdo Loka Kalpo Nurvatate Yavadinam Bhagavato Manum Bhujams Chaturus Dasaha." Word for word translation: Nisha, night; Avashane, termination; Arabda, beginning from; Loka Kalpaha, further creation of the 3 worlds; Anuvartate, follows; Yavat, until; Dinam, the daytime; Bhagavataha, of the Lord Brahma; Manum, the Manus; Bunjam, existing through; Chaturdarsa, 14. Translation: after the end of Brahma's night, the creation of the 3 worlds begins again in the daytime of Brahma, and they continue to exist throughout the life durations of 14 consecutive Manus, or fathers of mankind. Purport: at the end of the life of each Manu, there are shorter dissolutions also. 24. 24 is a short verse. It says, Swam swam kalam manu bhukte sadikam hi eka saptatim. Word for word translation: swam, on; swam, accordingly; kalam, duration of life; manuhu, manu; bhukte, enjoys; sa'adikam, a little more than; he, certainly; eka, satamtin, 71. Translation: each and every Manu enjoys a life of a little more than 71 sets of 4 millenniums. Non-purport. We go to 25.
There is purport.
Oh, that's the purport. Sorry.
Yes.
There is a purport. The duration of a Manu comprises 71 sets of 4 millenniums, as described in the Vishnu Purana. The duration of life of 1 Manu is about 852,000 years in the calculation of the demigods, or in the calculations of human beings, 306,720,000 years. Then 25. 25 says, Manvataresu manavas tat vamshyas rishaya suraha bhavanti chaiva yogapat sureshas chanu ye chatan. Word for word translation: Manu antareshu, after the dissolution of each and every Manu; Manava, other Manus; Tat Vamshyaha, and their descendants; Rishaya, the 7 famous sages; Sura, devotees of the Lord; Bhavanti, flourish; Cha Eva, also all of them. Yugapat, simultaneously. Shura Isha, demigods like Indra. Cha and Anu, followers. Ye, all. Cha, also. Tan, them. Translation. After the dissolution of each and every Manu, the next Manu comes in order, along with his descendants who rule over the different planets. But the seven famous sages and the demigods like Indra and their followers, such as the Gandharvas, all appear simultaneously with Manu. Purport. There are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma, and each of them has different descendants. Om Jnana Timridasya Jnanan Ganashalakaya Chakshuram Nalitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yukta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahogana Ragunastam Bitam Tam Sanjivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Bitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Iti Namini Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Ashri Tatmane Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tetari Iti Namini Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvise Sashunyavadi Pasachade Satharini Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namini Gauratvize Namaha. Nityanando Vatutendur Vasuda Pranavalabhar Janaviri Jivita Patira Krishna Prema Pradaprabhu Padmavati Sutta Srimam Sachirananda Purvajaha Bhavum Mata Jagatrakta Rakta Gora Kile Varaha Advaitam Harinadvaita Racharyam Bhakti Shamshanat Bhaktavataram Itam Sham Advaita Acharya Shraye Panchatattamakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Nama Pankajanabaya Nama Pankajamaline Nama Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajagraye Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagaritaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopita Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surato Panghor Mama Madhirgatima Sarvaswa Padambujo Radha Madana Mohano Divya Vendaranya Kalpadurmada Sri Madranadgara Simhastanastau Srila Govinda Devo Pristyali Bisevya Manosmarami Srimara Sarasarambi Vamsivata Tatastita Karsan Venuswanai Gopi Gopinata Sriyestunaha Tattakan Chana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavanishwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Devi Krishnamai Prokta Radhika Paradevata Sarvam Lakshmi Mai Sarvam Kanti Samohini Paraha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I will just quickly go through the translations. 22 says, outside of the three planetary systems, Swarga, Marsha, and Patala, the four yugas multiplied by 1,000 comprise one day on the planet of Brahma. A similar period comprises a night of Brahma, in which the creator of the universe goes to sleep. 23 says, at the end of Brahma's night, the creation of the three worlds begin again in the daytime of Brahma, and they continue to exist through the life durations of 14 consecutive Manus, or fathers of mankind. Then 24 says, each and every Manu enjoys a life of a little more than 71 sets of 4 millenniums. And then 25 says, after the dissolution of each and every Manu, the next Manu comes in order along with his descendants who rule over the different planets. But the 7 famous sages and demigods like Indra and their followers, such as the Gandharvas, all appear simultaneously with Manu. Bukam karoti vachalam pangum lagayete grim yatkari patama hadvande Shri Guru Dina Taranam Paramanam Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Akanda Mandalakaram Vyaptaina Characharam Tatpadam Dashitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. So everyone is welcome to this Srimad Bhagavatam discussion today. And before we proceed to say something regarding these 4 verses, we would first seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, so that by their mercy we can say something which is beneficial for our own spiritual progress and probably for the benefit of the audience. So, the lifespan of Brahma is described here because our lifespan begins with the day. Several days make up 1 year, or let's say several days make up 1 month, and 12 months make up a year, and a number of years make up the lifespan of every living entity in this world. So when Brahma goes to sleep in his nighttime, the 3 planetary systems below Brahmaloka are all submerged in a water of devastation. So when Brahma's day comes to an end and the night begins, all the planets below Brahmaloka they are submerged in water, and the water of devastation. In other words, Brahman's night marks the beginning of an occasional dissolution. Lord Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Sahasra Yugam Parayantam Ahuryat Brahmano Vidur Rantrim Yuga Sahasrantam Teho Ratra Vido Janaha. The calculation of Brahma's life, beginning with his day, is given by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. He says, by human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together form the duration of Brahma's one day. And such also is the duration of his night. So currently we are experiencing Brahma's day. That is why there is no annihilation, there is no destruction of any form. But as soon as Brahma's day comes to an end and the night begins, we will experience devastation, especially those planets below Brahmaloka. So Brahma's day is calculated as 1,000 ages taken together. In other words, the 4 yugas, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwarapa Yuga, Kali Yuga. When they cycle 1,000 times, that forms one day of Brahma. And also, when the same yugas, they go through a cycle of 1,000, that also forms a night of Brahmaji. So during the day, everything is in order. There is no dissolution. There is no annihilation. Everything goes smoothly. But as soon as Brahma's night comes, all living entities in all the planets below Brahma's planet, they are subject to destruction. So it means there are different types of dissolution. There are different types of annihilation. The 12th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam mentions Naimitika Prakritiko Nitya Antyatiko Layaha Samsteti Kavibir Proktas Chaturdasya Swabhava Taha. That there are 4 types of cosmic annihilation. There is occasional annihilation, there is elemental annihilation, there is continuous annihilation, and the ultimate annihilation. So all these annihilations are present as it is described here. Occasional annihilation means when Brahma's day comes to an end, there is annihilation. So until Brahma's day comes to an end, there is no annihilation. Of course, it is also mentioned that when one Manu, there are 14 Manus in the day of Brahma. There are 14 Manus. And when a Manu's lifespan comes to an end, there is also some kind of upheaval. there is some kind of temporary annihilation. Some brief disturbances also happen during the sandhyas of one Manu to the next Manu. But it is not very significant like that of Brahma's night. Brahma's night, all the planetary systems below Brahmaloka are submerged in the waters of devastation. In the case of Manus, the changing of Manus, the lifespans of Manus coming to an end, there are also some upheavals, there are also some disturbances, but it's not so massive. The scale is minimal. It does not affect many of the planets. It affects some few planets. So that is occasional is what we witness when Brahma goes to sleep. Elemental means when the elements are withdrawn. In fact, every body is experiencing this elemental withdrawal. At the time of death, all the elements of the body are withdrawn back to their natural states. So that is also considered annihilation, when life comes to an end and the body is destroyed and the elements return to their various stages, sources. That is considered elemental. Then there is continuous annihilation. That also we are experiencing. So long as we are in this material world, so many things will happen that eventually leads to the end of life, end of the universe, end of the creation. So those activities that are bringing about the continuous annihilation, they're also present. And then finally, we have the ultimate annihilation that comes at the end of Brahma's life. When Brahma's life of 100 years comes to an end, which is calculated to be 311 trillion, 40 billion years. When this comes to an end, then there is a total annihilation. The whole material creation is withdrawn. So therefore, the universe is set on a time scale, and we are going through these different incidents in the universe. And Brahma's day and Brahma's night are impetuses to this universal time scale. So it is said these effects of the annihilation is inherent in the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, just as the Lord creates in his form as Mahavishnu, Mahavishnu provides the ingredients for creation. Mahavishnu provides the Mahatattva. Initially, the elements of material creation, material nature, is in the pradana form. Pradana means it's very subtle. It is not physically present. But when Mahavishnu glances at pradana, then it becomes active and it becomes the Mahatattva. And the modes of nature and the ingredients for creation becomes manifest. Then material creation begins. So therefore it is said that this annihilation is inherent in the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just as the creation is also inherent in the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when the annihilation time comes, automatically the energy of the Supreme Lord begins to act, because everything is on time scale. Everything is programmed. There is a time for creation. There is a time for annihilation. In fact, it is said that the breath of Mahavishnu actually is the timing. That is the measure of time that determines creation and annihilation. When Mahavishnu breathes out, that is the beginning of creation. All the universes become manifest. And as soon as Mahavishnu breathes in, all the universes are withdrawn. So it means Brahma's life is just the breath of Mahavishnu. That 311 trillion, 40 billion years, which is the quantity of Brahma's years, is simply a single breath in and out, or out and in, of Brahma, of Mahavishnu's lifespan. Brahma's lifespan, which is Mahavishnu's breath. So, at the time of this temporary, occasional destruction, all the planets below Brahma are destroyed. They're submerged in water and dissolve. All the living entities are destroyed. Their bodies are destroyed. Then, at the beginning of Brahma's day, of course, it said here that during the night of Brahma, Brahma goes to sleep. And while Brahma is sleeping, he dreams. He dreams of Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. And by dreaming of Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, he receives information how to create, how to bring the living entities back to normal. But at a time of dissolution, everyone is destroyed except those on the planet of Brahma. So during this occasional dissolution, occasional annihilation, the living entities that are in Brahma's loka, they are not subject to this annihilation. They remain with him. But in the case of the ultimate dissolution, ultimate annihilation, Brahma leaves his planet, and along with those living entities that have perfected in Krishna consciousness, they attain to the spiritual kingdom. In the Padma Purana, it is mentioned, Brahmana sahate sarve samprapte parishtakshanchare pariyushante kritamanaha pravishante parampadam. That when there is devastation of this material universe, Brahma and all the devotees who have taken shelter of Brahma Loka and who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness, they are all transferred to the spiritual universe. They are all transferred to the Vaikuntha Lokas according to their individual desires and devotional activities. So when Brahma's day comes to an end, occasional annihilation takes place. All the living entities below Brahmaloka are destroyed. Only those who are on the planet of Brahmaloka, they are spared. And they wait with Brahma until they all actually go to sleep. When Brahma goes to sleep, the whole universe is asleep. So they go to sleep also with Brahma. And when Brahma wakes up, then they also wake up. Then the lower planetary systems and the living entities are recreated by Brahma. So it is Prabhupada mentions in the purport that at the end of Brahma's day, he goes to sleep. And in that sleep, Brahma dreams of Garbhodakashaya Vishnu and takes instructions from him how to create. So this is very significant. Lord Brahma is considered the Adi Guru in this universe. He is considered the most intelligent personality. Yet, Brahma needs education. Brahma takes education from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned, Tene Brahma Hirdaya Adi Kavaye. Now, Lord Sri Krishna, he instructed Brahma in the chemistry of creation from within the core of Brahma. This instruction was imparted to Lord Brahma within the core of his heart. That is amazing, that even though Brahma is such a scholar, even though he is such a great personality, but he still takes instructions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He still takes guidance from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Brahma is teaching us by example that no matter how great we are in this universe, we still need to take instructions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, in fact, it is said, Vrindavaniyam Rasha Kalivartam Kalena Luptam Nija Shaktim Utaha. Before the creation of this cosmos, the Lord enlightened Brahma from within the heart with the details of the creation through the Vedic literatures. By providing the knowledge of the Vedic literatures, Lord Brahma was educated. And with that knowledge, Brahma is able to create the planets and the bodies and the situations for every living entity that is contained in the universe. So it means that the Vedic literatures are very important, because without the Vedic literatures, Brahma cannot create. Without the Vedic literatures, Brahma cannot do anything in this universe. So now it is said here that while he was asleep, he was dreaming. And in that dream, he sees Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. And Garbhodakashaya Vishnu instructs him in that dream. And when he wakes up from his dream, whatever information, knowledge he has received from Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, he employs that information, instruction, to create and reestablish the lower planetary systems that are all been destroyed during the occasional annihilation. So it gives us the understanding that the Vedic literature is a repertoire of unlimited knowledge. It is the ocean of all knowledge. In fact, all the scriptures we have in the world today, they have their roots from the Vedic literatures. Whether it is the Bible, whether it's the Quran, they all have their roots from the Vedic literatures. Because those personalities who spoke the Bible to their authors or spoke the Quran to their authors, they also received knowledge from higher sources. And they also received knowledge from higher sources. Ultimately, the knowledge is coming from Brahma, because Brahma was the first living entity who received knowledge from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And from Brahman, this knowledge has been disseminated. So all these various scriptures, they are actually receiving knowledge from the ocean of all knowledge, which is the Vedic literature. And we can see traces of this knowledge in the various scriptures. In the Bible, we come across the story of Noah and the ark. That is simply a story of Satyavraj Maharaj, who was fortunate to have darshan of Matsya Avatar, the golden small fish that appeared before Satyavraj Maharaj and instructed him about the coming deluge, the coming devastation, and what he had to do to save humanity. That is reported as the story of Noah in the Bible. This story you can find in the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The full story is given in the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now in the Quran also you find in Surah 28, no, Surah 2 verse 28, it talks about reincarnation, how God has destroyed our various bodies and has given us another bodies, and they will be destroyed also. He will give us another life, and finally we will be gathered before God. So this is the principle of karma and reincarnation, which is coming down from the Vedic literatures. So we can see that these Vedic literatures is a repertoire of unlimited knowledge, and Brahma receives it from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, it is said, Swataha Paramadveda Paramana Shiromani, that the self-evident Vedic literatures are the highest evidence of all. But if these literatures are misinterpreted, their value is lost. So the Vedic literatures are the highest, they are the self-evident and the highest of all. And all knowledge is coming from them. The creation, how to create, how to maintain, how to destroy is all coming from these Vedic literatures. And Brahma receives it and imparts it to all the other living entities. In fact, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was passing through Benares, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had gone to Vrindavan and he was returning to Puri, he stopped over in Benares. And at that time, Prakashananda Saraswati, he was the guru of all the Mayavadis. And he had thousands of disciples who were Mayavadis. And because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was performing Sankirtan on the streets, they began to criticize him. They began to condemn him. They began to call him ill names. So there were two devotees in Benares, Tapana Misra and Chandrasekhar. They were very unhappy that these Mayavadis were criticizing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and said, "Our dear Lord, these Mayavadis are criticizing you. They are quoting all kinds of scriptures to undermine your authority. We beg you, you should meet them and dissipate the darkness that has engulfed their minds. You should meet them and deliver them from this ignorance." First, Mahaprabhu was reluctant. But there was a Maharashtrian Brahmana who was also living in Benares. He was also very affectionate towards Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he also felt something has to happen, something has to be done to stop these Mayavadis from criticizing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he arranged a lunch, invited Prakashananda Saraswati and all his disciples. And he also went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Paying obeisance to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he touched the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu and humbly invited him to come for lunch in his house. And Mahaprabhu smiled and accepted the invitation, simply because these two devotees, Tapana Mishra and then Chandrasekhar, had already approached him and requested him to meet the Mayavadis and try to defeat their mindset, their Mayavad philosophy of Vedanta Sutra. They were actually criticizing Lord Chaitanya that as a sannyasi, his duty was to study Vedanta Sutras. But instead, he was simply dancing on the street, performing some sentimental dance with common people. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted this invitation, and then he went, he actually defeated all of them. He actually explained the Vedanta Sutra in a much more blissful way, in a much more enlightening way, that the Mayavadis, they could see that this is the Supreme Personality of God. Even where he was sitting, Mahaprabhu washed the way they washed their feet. That's where Mahaprabhu sat down. After he washed his feet, he sat by the place where they wash feet. And when they invited him to come up to the platform, he said he was not qualified, so he remained where he is. But Prakashananda, they could see that the Brahma Jyoti that they are meditating on was coming from the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they could understand this sannyasi is not an ordinary sannyasi. He must be Brahman himself. So Prakashananda got up, even though they invited him, he refused. Prakashananda got up and went to Mahaprabhu and held Mahaprabhu's hand and brought him up to the platform and seated him next to his place. Then the debate began. And Mahaprabhu, he actually exposed their faulty philosophy. He exposed Sankaracharya philosophy. He defeated it and made them to understand that Vedanta actually means describing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is said, from that day onwards, Prakashananda Saraswati and all his 1,000 disciples, they all became followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In fact, the next day, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started his kirtan, all the Mayavadis, including Prakashananda Saraswati, they all joined the kirtan. And so it is described in the Madhyama Lila of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 25, when all the residents of Benares became Vaishnavas by the influence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it is said that from that day onwards, everybody was bringing their philosophical points, philosophical doubts, philosophical arguments before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sarva Shastra Kadi Prabhu Bhakti Kare Saraha Sayutika Vakye Gana Priya Sabaraha. Now, when people came to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to discuss the principles of various scriptures, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu defeated all their false conclusions and established the predominance of devotional service to the Lord. With logic and argument, he very politely changed their minds. And everybody who came before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the teachings of the Bhakti Shastras and became a devotee. So therefore, we can understand that this knowledge, these Vedic literatures, coming from the Supreme Lord, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, through the agency of Brahma, through the different devotees, Narada Muni, and many sages, it has descended into this world to give us the understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And without this Vedic knowledge, the whole world is in darkness. And in fact, every knowledge, every spiritual knowledge that we have is simply a piece or a part of this totality of this Vedic knowledge that was instructed to Brahma from the beginning of creation. It is also mentioned that during the lifetime of Manu, which comprises 71 sets of the 4 millenniums. Actually, it is mentioned 72 in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It is mentioned 72 sets of the 4 millenniums constitute the lifespan of one Manu. And when that is computed, it comes to 306,720,000 years that each Manu is living. And there are 14 of those Manus in the day of Brahma. And these Manus, they are authorities that gives us the principles for humanity. They give us the social principles. They give us law and order. They ensure the management, the ruling, the administration of the planetary systems. So it is mentioned here that each Manu comes along with his team. Every Manu comes along with an incarnation of the Supreme Godhead. Every Manu comes along with his 7 sages, or sometimes mentioned 9 sages. Every Manu comes with an Indra. Every Manu comes with all the principal demigods, besides his own descendants. Every Manu comes with his own government. And when his time is up, he goes, and another Manu comes. So in this way, the Manus, they're also performing their activities. They're also performing their services to the Supreme Personality of God. They're actually part of the universal administration. They take care of this universal administration. Brahma is the head, but Brahma uses the Manus. Brahma empowers the Manus. Brahma is the father of the Manus. It is mentioned when Brahma was creating, when he created the Manus, the sages, they celebrated. They said this creation is the best of all because this Manu is going to initiate sacrifices. This Manu is going to manage the universe. This Manu is going to make sure that everything is in order. So by creating the Manus, the sages, they applauded Brahma for that creation. So the Manus, they play a very important role in the universe. And even though they live such long lives, but they also have the end of their lives. So it is described that Swayambhuva Manu, after he got his daughter married, Devahuti, when he got his daughter Devahuti married, he returned to his city, his capital city, and there he engaged in devotional service. It is said, Ayata Yamasta Yasham Yamaswantaratra Yapanaha, that the Swayambhuva Manu, who was a saintly king, although absorbed in material happiness, he was not dragged to the lowest grade of life, for he always enjoyed his material happiness in Krishna consciousness. And what does it do? It says, Manvantara Avatara Ebeshuna Sanatana asankhya gananam tanra sunaha karana. During the reign of the Manus, they do their service very diligently, but at the same time, they also make sure that their spiritual life is up and doing. They also engage in the necessary activities because they know that even this long, colossal lifespan will come to an end and they have to leave. So even though they are doing their administration, they also engage in devotional service. And in this way, the Manus, they also attain their perfection. They attain the goal of life at the end of their lives. So, but when one Manu goes, another Manu takes over. And in between the Manu leaving and the current one coming, there are also upheavals. There are also disturbances. And sometimes some of the planets, they go through dissolution, they go through difficult times because during this Sandhya period, when one Manu is leaving and the other Manu is coming, there is always some disturbances, but it's not at a larger scale like Brahma's night, or on a larger scale when Brahma's life comes to an end. So therefore, there are different types of annihilation: occasional annihilation, elemental annihilation, and ultimate annihilation. And so Brahma's life witnesses all these types of annihilations. All the 4 types of annihilation are present in Brahma's life. And similarly, the living entities, we also experience to some degree these types of annihilations. And they also affect even the Manus. In fact, everyone in this material world is subject to these 4 types of annihilations, beginning with occasional, elemental, and continuous. So we'd like to end here. If there are any comments or questions, you're welcome. It's already 4 o'clock. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for sharing this depth of wisdom with us. I am just wondering how non-devotees would likely accept these facts, because the years mentioned here are mind-blowing. they don't seem to make sense in real life, but that is what it is. It's amazing. Well, dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, if you want to ask or to share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question or share your reflections. Hare Chakra Prabhu, please you may unmute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
Dandavat Pranam.
Krishna, Hare Chakra Prabhu, my obeisances. Glories to Krishna.
All glories to you, all glories to Gurudev, and all glories to Prabhupada. All glories to
all glories to you too.
Thank you very much for the elaborate discussion that you've made. But I want a little bit clarification, because previously we've been hearing that during the final annihilation, whoever is on Brahma's planet goes back home with Brahma. But today, when you were discussing, you made mention that it's not everybody, if I heard properly.
Yes.
So
actually, there's a verse from the Padma Purana that says, Brahmana sahate sarve samprapte parishti shanchare prashayanti krita manaha pravishanti parampadam. That when there is devastation of this material universe, Brahma and his devotees who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness are all transferred to the spiritual universes and to specific spiritual planets according to their desires. Yes, as Prabhupada mentioned somewhere when I was reading, when I came across this, he says, he says, those who are engaged in devotional service, they will all go with Brahma. Meaning that there are some people on the planet of Brahma that are not engaged in devotional service. That's what it means. Maybe some yogis, some sages, some impersonalists, they are not engaged in devotional service. So it means those people will not go. But those who are engaged in Krishna consciousness, if everyone is engaged in Krishna consciousness, then they will go back home, back to Godhead. Actually, it's also mentioned somewhere that on the planet of Brahma, Brahma constantly gives classes. He constantly educates all the people who are with him there, preparing them for going back home, back to Godhead. But as we know, there may be some living entities who object or who do not want to go the way of Brahma. So those people may not necessarily go back home, because to go back to the spiritual world, some qualification, some eligibility is required. And so unless you are a devotee, unless you are a lover of Krishna, unless you are inclined to do some service, you have no business in the spiritual world. So therefore, if there are some Mayavadis, some yogis, some kind of transcendentalists who are not ready to take Brahma's instruction, and they are not ready to engage in devotional service, then they will not get a chance to go back home, back to Godhead. That's my understanding anyway. Anybody can contribute if they have something more.
Thank you very much.
Does that answer your question, Hari Chakra Prabhu? All right, Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
yes, Prabhu. It does.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you for the question, and Prabhuji, thank you for the response. I was trying, I rushed out to get my tablet because I have actually saved that statement. It's from you quoted the Padma Purana,
Okay.
but it's also mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But I can't find it.
Okay.
So it is a fact because I've read it and I saved it. That it is not automatic that everyone on Brahma's planet goes back home, back to Godhead.
Okay.
If those individuals were not serving Krishna, they wouldn't go back. In fact, Lord Brahma himself does not even go back. It's very interesting. Mother Malati was speaking to us one time, and she shared that with us. So I actually looked it up also. And Srila Prabhupada, this also explains why devotees saying that we did not fall from the spiritual world. It's kind of weird in the sense that Srila Prabhupada states in that statement that every living entity that falls from the spiritual world first becomes Lord Brahma.
That's right.
And so one devotee was asking Srila Prabhupada, how is that possible? And Srila Prabhupada rolled his eyes. Oh, are you now doubting Krishna? So if Lord Brahma could not go back home, and I'm sitting here, which means that I have been a Lord Brahma before.
Every one of us.
Every one of us. Then what to speak of somebody else? So thank you so much for the question and the answer. But I'll look for these and share on the WhatsApp platform later on.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. Anyone with any question? Madhuvan Prabhu, yes, please give me on mute.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Madhuvan Prabhu. My obeisances.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being there for us. We are always happy seeing you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you also for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, we have spoken so much about devastation and so on, but I'm curious to know the situation of the Jiva Tattvas in this situation of devastation. So what is the
Yes.
position of the Jiva Tattvas?
The position of the living entity?
Yeah, during the time of devastation, the solution.
Yes, it's mentioned that during devastation, the living entities are withdrawn into the belly of Mahavishnu. That is their abode. That is their sleeping place. The belly of Mahavishnu is where the living entities are withdrawn into, and then when it's time for creation, they are released. They have no other place to go. Mahavishnu's belly is the reservoir, is the abode, is the sleeping place of the conditioned souls. So when there is either partial annihilation or complete annihilation, they are all withdrawn into the belly of Mahavishnu, and they remain there as long as the period of annihilation takes place. And then at the end of the annihilation, when there is creation, they are released. And Brahma's business is to provide the bodies and provide the planets and situations for them to continue with their material existence. So Mahavishnu's belly is the abode of all the conditioned souls. That's our shelter. Of course, Mahavishnu's body is not different from the spiritual world, actually. Sometimes I'm trying to figure out, even if we agree to the philosophy that the conditioned souls are created by Mahavishnu, but Mahavishnu is not different from Krishna. It's not different. Mahavishnu's belly is not different from the spiritual sky. It's just that the living entity becomes inactive. He becomes dormant. He goes to sleep. He doesn't participate in any lila, any activity. That's the only difference. But even in the belly of Mahavishnu, the living entity is alive. He's not destroyed. He remains there until the next creation. Then he's brought out. When Mahavishnu glances at the Mahatattva or the Pradana, he injects the living entities into the Mahatattva. So the Mahavishnu's belly is the shelter of all conditioned souls.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you also. Hare Krishna. I think Hamsadutta Prabhu.
Yes. Hamsadutta Prabhu, please hear me unmute.
Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Please can we accept my respectful obeisances? All glory to Gurudev, all glory to Prabhupada, and all glory to you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you once again for the wonderful class. A lot of information has been given, which
is it a previous, but the voice?
yes, Maharaj. I'm driving. That's why yes.
Hare Krishna. I'm
Hare
happy
Krishna.
to know that now you have taken shelter.
Yes, because of your mercy. I remember I was having some difficulties, and you told me that if other people can do it, you can also do it.
Hare Krishna.
So,
very happy to hear this.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your question?
Yes, my question is during the class you mentioned something from Quran, which talked about reincarnation, about Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 28.
Yes.
In fact, this particular chapter, we have been reading this, especially the Surah Al-Baqarah, for long time. For Muslims, Surah Al-Baqarah is like Nashrimade prayers.
That's right.
So even if you don't know Quran, you know this this chapter. And I never understand the meaning till when I come to Krishna consciousness.
Wonderful.
So my question, why is it that such information like this if you are a Muslim, it is very, very difficult for you to understand that this is reincarnation. And
Yeah.
and it's so clear that if you are a devotee, you understand it, and even the information you are given. So my question is it that why is Krishna make it so difficult like that, or the people who wrote the Quran, because Quran wrote many years after Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Yes.
So it means that some of the information was manipulated, or because I keep thinking about how is it that such information which will help people to understand Krishna. If you are a Muslim, it is very, even the information you are given about the years of Brahma, if you tell any Muslim, you will say that in Tamil, you are crazy. So is it that some of the information has been manipulated or taken away, or that is how Krishna wanted to be?
Well,
if you can help me to understand.
Yes. The main reason is there is no disciple succession. Even though there is a semblance of it from one imam to another imam to another imam, but it is not exactly a disciple succession. In a disciple succession, the knowledge is passed down from guru to disciple, and the guru explains the principle to the understanding of the disciple. And so that disciple also becomes the next guru, and he also passes that information to the next generation. So generation after generation, the disciple succession makes sure that the knowledge is intact, the knowledge is explained, and the knowledge is distributed. That is the purpose of the disciple succession. And so in Christianity and in Islam, we don't have the disciple succession. And because we don't have the disciple succession, things are not properly explained. You remember when the disciples of Jesus, they heard about the imprisonment of John the Baptist. Yes. They went to Jesus and said, Master, we have heard that John the Baptist has been arrested by Pontius Pilate, and he's imprisoned. But the story is that he is Elijah who has come again. That is the story everybody is telling. So how far is it? And Christ said, yes, John the Baptist is Elijah who has come again. But those who have ears, let them hear. So because the disciples were in a doubt, they had to approach their guru, Lord Jesus, and then inquired, and Lord Jesus explained the thing to them. But that disciple succession was not maintained. It's broken. And so that is why Krishna had to come again. After the disciple succession of Bhagavad Gita was broken, Krishna had to come again to initiate it, because it is very essential, it is very crucial that this knowledge has to be presented in a very systematic way. One Acharya says that the ripened fruit of the scriptures, the ripened fruit of the very literature is Srimad Bhagavatam. And therefore, it cannot be, when you want to enjoy a fruit, you don't throw stones at the fruit and it falls on the ground, you pick it. Neither do you climb the tree and just pluck it and throw it on the ground. It will be smashed and some sand and stone will enter. You can enjoy it. But if you pluck the ripened fruit and you hand it onto somebody on a lower branch, and he hands it over to somebody on another lower branch until it gets to the ground, the fruit remains intact and everybody can enjoy the sweetness and the wholeness of the fruit. But if you throw the fruit on the ground, it will mash, it will crack, sun will enter, so many things will enter and you cannot enjoy the fruit as it is. So in the case of the Vedic knowledge, it is preserved and transmitted by the discipline succession in such a way that it can be understood. In other places, the knowledge is there, but it is not presented through the discipline succession that have received the knowledge from higher authority, from explanation from higher authority, people who are living the life, living the knowledge. That is very important. Of course, we also know that by the mercy of the saints also, by the mercy of the saints, Shanta Shanta Avalambalam, without the mercy of the saints, it is very difficult to understand anything. So the saintly devotees, they are our shelter. This material world is a very difficult place to understand anything, but the presence of the saints makes things easy. So by coming in touch with the saintly devotees, this knowledge is explained and we can benefit from it. So the reason is, first, it is coming down in a discipline succession without a break, and each guru makes sure the subject matter is properly explained to the next generation, and it goes on like that. And when there is a break, the Supreme Lord himself comes and reestablishes it, because he knows that if that does not happen, there will be misinformation, there will be improper explanation. So the Lord comes himself to reestablish that system. And so, and with the presence of the devotees, then their mercy flows, and then these things are understood. Ishla Prabhupada had not gone west and established this movement, and he took his time to explain these things to his disciples. And when the disciples understood it, then they also went out to explain to others. If a saintly person like Srila Prabhupada was not there, it would have been very difficult for us to grasp many of these statements from the very literatures. But because such a saintly person like Srila Prabhupada, he took the trouble to teach, explain, and impart that knowledge to his disciples. And they also took it up and they also explained to us. Now it's our duty to also imbibe this knowledge and also impart it to future generations. And in this way, the knowledge is preserved. In the other systems, there may be a semblance of some kind of a discipline succession, but it's not exactly the way it is conducted in Krishna consciousness, in the Vedic system. And so there are lapses, there are gaps, and so the true meaning, the essence, is not captured in their presentations. I hope this answers your question.
Yes, thank you so much, Maharaj. It's really answered it. Thank you. I'm so grateful.
I'm so happy that you now have a spiritual name.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's because of your mercy, Maharaj. Thank you so much. I love to meet you again.
We'll meet, definitely.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
I think some more hands are up.
Yeah, there are two hands up. So the other way is, but I would like to share this very quickly because I was looking for the reference and I found it by Sri Guru Krishna's grace.
Right.
This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 24, Text 58. So it says the Supreme Personality of Godhead acts through his material energy in the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this cosmic manifestation, just to deliver the loving entity by his compassion and stop the loving entity's birth, death, and duration of materialistic life. Thus, he enables the loving being to return home back to Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada gave a very lengthy purport, but here, this place highlighted This is a quotation from Vedanta Sutra.
Okay.
Both the Lord and the loving entity, being qualitatively spirit soul, have the tendency for peaceful enjoyment. But when the part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead unfortunately wants to enjoy independently without Krishna, he is put into the material world where he begins his life as Brahman.
That's right.
And is gradually degraded to the status of an ant or a worm in stool.
Wonderful.
So this is our position.
Wonderful. So we have all been Brahmans before.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes. So this is 9/24/58. So thank you for the response. Hare Krishna. So we go to His Grace Sriman Varaha Acharya. Please, you may unmute.
Please accept my humble obeisances.
I accept my humble obeisances also, Varayanji Prabhu.
All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to
Gurudev, and all glories to you too.
some of the devotees. Sorry, this is not a question. This is just a quick contribution to the question Amsadita Prabhu asked.
Okay.
In the Quran, chapter 42, text 8, chapter 42, text 8, there it explains that if Allah wanted, he could have made everyone to be of one religion. He admits whom he wills into his mercy, and the wrongdoers have not any protector or helper. That's what that verse, chapter 32, text 8 of Quran. So this verse actually says that, well, confirms what we learned from the Vedic Acharyas about the time, place, and circumstances, and the adhikara of the people for receiving a certain level of knowledge. So it is not like he was asking whether Krishna did not want some people to, Krishna did not want some, I don't know, he was asking, putting some doubt on why this should happen. But the Quran explains it. The Quran explains that if God wanted, he could make everyone to be in the same religion, but the wrongdoers, certain people have no qualification for a certain level of knowledge. That's why. So you can reference that chapter 42, text 8 of Quran. So if God,
okay.
If God will, I have it here on the screen.
Right, good.
42, text 8, and it's exactly the words used by his.
Okay.
If Allah had so willed, he could have made them a single people, but he admits whom he will to his mercy, and the wrongdoers will have no protector, no helper.
Okay. That's it.
Yes.
So I think you should refer to that and let them know that Krishna, like it says, in the Bhagavad Gita, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So it's very similar. If you wanted, it could make everyone the same, but then according to the level of consciousness, then it permits a certain level of knowledge. Thank you very much. Just a little contribution. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Grace Prabhu for sharing this. Thank you so much. And because during the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, a lot of people joined the Islam because they don't have choice. They join it not because they believe in Islam, but it was like they don't have any choice, so they joined the Islam. So this what we shared is make a lot of sense. That they don't want to believe, they just follow it, but they are doing different kind of things. So thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All right, so Shri Hari Chakra Prabhu, please hear me unmute.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandava pranams again. I also want to make just a little bit contribution to Mata Hassan's question. It's not only Surah 2, verse 28 that speaks about reincarnation. But the unfortunate thing is a lot of the present day Muslims, they put their personal emotions into the Quran. And so they distort a lot of things. Because in Surah 2, verse 65, it also explains how if you become very sinful, say some people became so sinful that they were demoted from the human body into apes. And it is Surah 2, verse 65. And it's repeated in Surah 5, verse 60. How those people who violated the Sabbath and became very wrongdoers, they were also demoted to take the bodies of swines. So you cannot dispute the fact that the Vedic literatures are giving us the detailed information, but unfortunately, like you said, because of lack of disciplic succession, now individuals start putting their emotions into the scripture and they distort a lot of things. Like a perfect example is the virgin birth of Jesus. Surah 3 verse 45. Surah 3 verse 45 categorically states that Mary was a virgin and that Jesus will be born out as a virgin birth. But unfortunately now, sometimes you hear some Muslims saying that Jesus is the outcome of a prostitution. But the Quran states categorically that he is going to be born a virgin birth. And he states that the first miracle that he will perform is that from day one that he was born, he will speak. And that during his youth, he is going to take the dust of the earth, mix it with water, create a bed out of that, and he will breathe into the bed, and the bed will fly. Wow. It's in Surah 3, verse 45. Wow. But unfortunately, a lot of people, a lot of Muslims today will use those very things and say, hey, Jesus is the outcome of prostitution. And so because they are putting their emotions in it. So like you said, if we lack disciple succession, a lot of things will be evading us. You will not understand a lot of things. So thank you.
Thank you for the contribution.
Yeah, so 265 is here. And well, ye knew those amongst you who transgressed in the matter of the Sabbath. We said to them, be ye apes, despised and rejected. Krishna doesn't joke. Oh my God. Well, thank you all devotees. And of course, it's great VANACARI as always. Such a very beautiful Krishna Katha. I have one last question, and probably that might be the end of our discussion for today, except somebody else has something to ask. But I am wondering, these Manus and these Indras, demigods that are scheduled to appear with Manu when there is a new Manu, and even Lord Brahma, when he goes to sleep and he wakes up, there are these great 7 sages, and there are some souls that are still destined to come along with a new creation.
Yeah.
Is there anything they could do to be outside of the material world and go back to Godhead before the end of their schedule, or what? Or they just scheduled to spend all those days in this material world? What if a man wanted to finish his job quickly and go back to Godhead? Then what happens? Is there a possibility?
No.
Oh my God.
Because they have come to execute a function, just like Brahma. Brahma, he cannot close up the universe and go home. He has to stay for 311 trillion 40 billion years before he's released from this material world. So similarly, each and every Manu has a lifespan. It's already mentioned. 72 cycles of the 4 yugas. So, and they have specific duties actually. The Manus have specific duties. And that is why they come along with their whole government. The incarnation, every Manu comes along with a particular incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Yeah, every Manu comes along with the, and in fact, the Supreme Lord becomes like an advisor to the Manu. Yeah, then every Manu comes along with his own Indra, his own Vishwakarma, his own Chandra, all the different principal demigods, he comes with them. And they do their service until the end. Then they're all vamuts, they leave, and a new set comes. It's just like political parties.
Yeah.
Democrats, they finish, they leave, and then the other people, they come. Or NPP leaves, and NDC comes, or other parties like that. So we are getting all these things from Manu. Manu gives us all this kind of information.
This is so beautiful. But
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Does that explain that why there are some pastimes in the Vedic literatures that sometimes seem to be contradictory? Like, does that mean that maybe a particular pastime will be what do we call it?
Under a different Manu.
And under a different Manu or something like the era.
Yes, that is also true. Different pastimes happen in different millenniums under different Manus. So yes. So these differences are due to the time, place, and circumstance, like that.
Yeah. Because I remember one time you were speaking and you were talking about the father of the demons, and it was different from what I had read from other pastimes.
Okay.
That Kashyapa was their father and all these things. And
yes.
So it was later, that I was contemplating. Well, maybe we are talking about different eras.
Yes. In one particular pastime, particular era, Kashyapa becomes the father of both the demons and the demigods.
Demigods, okay.
Yes, right. And in the different millennium, another personality becomes the father of the demons. Yeah, I remember we came across an issue like that. Some personality was given as the father of the demons, but also Kashyapa is known for his for being the father because he's the husband of both Aditi and Diti. And Aditi is the mother of the demigods, and Diti is the mother of the demons. But in some other millenniums, it's not exactly the same. It's different.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. So I think we'll bring the class to a close.
Yes. Even Prahlad Maharaj, our own dear Prahlad Maharaj, also has many bets in different millenniums.
That's right.
Yeah. So sometimes when we have Krishna Katha like this by Shri Guru and Krishna's grace, I begin to understand why it was possible for Maharaj Parikshit to hear Shukadev Goswami for 7 days, 7 nights. Because I wish we could be sitting here for the rest of our lives just discussing like this, but material nature will not allow us. That is so beautiful. Dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute yourselves, and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker for today, His Grace Srivadas VANACARI, for sharing his love and wisdom with us today. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Panchakapa Tarubasa, Kripa Sandhya Ivata, Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo
Namo Namaha.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai.
Yeah.
Vaishnava Vaishnava Ki Jai.
Yeah.
Jai.
Samud Vaishnava
Haribo.
Ki Jai.